Okay, we got Goku and your boy Vegeta versus Sonic and Shadow. Is totally unfair. Not gonna hold you, bro. With this one, I'm not gonna hold you. I gotta get, bro. Come on. If we doing this is Sonic and Shadow, bro. I love me some Goku and Vegeta, but bro, come on, man. Like, yeah, bro. I believe Sonic's enough can oh, I don't even want to say that, but I believe Sonic's enough can like take I believe Sonic's enough can take Goku and Vegeta on, but that's just me though. But then again, I could be wrong. But let's just hear his perspective. Let's just go.
Dead horse at this point if I mentioned the surface level similarities between the Dragon Ball and Sonic the Hedgehog franchises. While most of the comparisons are ultimately reductive to both series, one comparison that I do think is actually pretty accurate is the connection Sonic and Shadow have between Goku and Vegeta. If you didn't know,
hey, Shadow alone. Let me shut up. Shadow with skateboard shoes on. That's crazy. Solo.
the original concept art of Super Sonic was ripped directly from the art of Super Saiyan Goku on Namek, and when years later it came time—
Wasn't he on the dude was inspired or something like he liked to watch it? I don't know. I forget how it goes.
To design Shadow the Hedgehog, one of the explicit main inspirations of Shadow's initial concept art was Vegeta. Plus, their relationships are pretty similar. Both pairs have been constantly called friendly rivals with one another for years. This raises an interesting question. When comparing the originals with characters they are at least in part inspired by, who is actually stronger? Both the Saiyans and the Hedgehogs at this point have decades of lore and a wide array of feats across pretty much every medium that exists, from games to manga to animations. But who would win in a 2v2 fight? Goku and Vegeta or Shadow and Sonic? Let's find out.
Bro, I gotta get this to Sonic and Shadow, man. I'm sorry, I gotta get this to Sonic and Shadow, bro. I love me some Vegeta now, but oh man, I gotta get this one to. But what if they fuse? I don't know. That still probably won't be enough though.
Like this kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's jump.
Wait, cause the only thing they miss, only thing on Sonic and Shadow missing is if they fuse together. We know Goku and Vegeta, they can fuse. But Sonic, I don't think Sonic and Shadow ever did a fusion before, so. But again, they probably don't need it.
We'll be talking about the mainline incarnations of these characters because, like I said before, there are simply so many different official versions of them that do exist. This means the Dragon Ball Super—
Bro, just stick to the candy. I strictly stick straight to the candy. Everything else, out the plot.
Incarnations of Goku and Vegeta, and the main video game versions of—
Bro, this the game I had, bro. Shadow with these type of shoes solo. Crazy.
Sonic and Shadow. If you want to see me talk about other versions, like maybe Heroes versus the Archie Comics versions, or just straight up composite Goku versus composite Sonic, let me know in the comments and I can do a follow-up. To begin, before we get into even comparing the scaling of either side, we need to establish how both duos actually compare to one another. If it turns out Shadow is massively stronger than Sonic, or that Goku is massively stronger than Vegeta, then the fight could turn into more of a 2v1, which may tip the fight drastically in the favor of one team. Starting with Team Dragon Ball, the answer is much clearer here than it is with Team Sonic. At this point in the manga, the Saiyans have never been more different in how they fight, with Goku going down the path of the Angels with Ultra Instinct, and Vegeta going down the path of the Destroyers with Ultra Ego. Well, definitely—
Whoa, what was that? I never saw that. I gotta check that out. Well, that was a fight. Wait. Getting like Naruto fighting scene, and they trying to get that Naruto fighting scene.
Initially, these forms could not be more different from one another. One involves dodging all attacks, while the other mostly involves getting hit with as many attacks as possible. In practice, they are still mostly ending up being equal. Throughout the Granola arc, when Goku and Vegeta actually go at their full power at the same time, they essentially perform the same as one another. While there are times where one would slightly pull ahead through evolving their respective forms, they would then immediately be tied once again by the next fight. The superhero arc by itself made it seem that perhaps once again Goku had pulled ahead of Vegeta during his fight.
They always been equal the whole time, bro.
with Beast Gohan, with Vegeta gulping in statements like strongest versus strongest. However, Toyotaro himself has stepped forward to clarify that no, Goku and Vegeta, along with Piccolo, Gohan, and Broly, are all still essentially equals with one another. While we do know at some point after Super, Goku does probably become the strongest in the universe, that hasn't happened yet, and we don't know by how much, so scaling-wise, the Saiyans are essentially interchangeable with one another. While Goku and Vegeta...
I've been saying that for the longest, bro.
Being equal is pretty explicit, Sonic and Shadow's current status is a lot more vibes-based. While in the past, and even in the game, Sonic and Shadows have been called equals in speed and power plenty of times, as time...
Shadow is not a real hedgehog? He was created?
Time has gone on, these statements are getting fewer and further between. This is kind of bad for Shadow because Sonic continuously gets better and better feats and continually grows in power to cliff his old full power all the time. Even in Sonic Forces, the last game from a timeline perspective that had Shadow and Sonic together, Sonic is consistently outperforming Shadow in the latter half of that game against characters like Infinite, the strongest enemy in Sonic history up to that point, maybe. This would get worse when in the following game, Sonic Frontiers, Sonic grows massively stronger and takes on the Titans, who are stated to be as strong as previous final bosses while only being the initial bosses of the game and ultimately kind of fodder by the end of it. While we would get Shadow Generations that gave Shadow a pretty good boost in power, the main issue is that this takes place at the same time as Sonic Generations, which is nearly 15 years old at this point. Well, I have no doubt we'll get a Sonic game in the future that once again slingshots Shadow.
We definitely need one, bro. We definitely need one.
To catch up with Sonic again. At this exact moment, you simply can't prove that they're equals. However, that doesn't mean that they can't scale within the same tier.
Yeah, so I don't think the creator never said that they were equal, and none of that I don't believe.
So with that being said, let's finally jump into the actual feats and power scaling for these rivals. Now, just like Dragon Ball, the Sonicverse has had a somewhat pretty consistent escalation of power throughout its history. Feats have mostly gotten bigger and better as time has gone on, and when feats don't improve, there is usually statements just saying the new bad guy is stronger than the old bad guy. As Shadow wasn't introduced in the franchise for a good part of the way through, there's no reason to go in depth with the scaling of the classic era of Sonic, which is fine because its feats aren't really comparable to the modern and adventure era. For a baseline, we'll start with probably an unexpected place, being the game Sonic Riders. In this game, they make
Sonic Rider, bro. Still one of my favorite. This one is besides Sonic's Adventures, Sonic Adventure 2. But this right here, I think this will come in second. And then Sonic's Hero.
Cast are able to defeat a being known as the Babylon Guardian. Guides explain that the Babylon Guardian can manipulate a dimension that extends into infinite nothingness, and that he was turning the entire thing into a hellscape. Even though this was technically a team effort, even being fractionally comparable to the Guardian would mean that everyone already has baseline infinite 3D or being universal from this feat. Several other games during this era
that game was so fun, bro.
Make Universal Sonic, or at least Universal Super Sonic, pretty consistent, with Sonic Rush having the Soul Emeralds and the equivalent of the Chaos Emeralds being used to fuse two universes together. While this may seem like a potential cap for Sonic, making the Emeralds and the Super Sonic only slightly beyond Universal, the thing is that, like I mentioned before, Sonic has surpassed his Super State multiple times, outright beating enemies that required Super Sonic to beat in previous games. Now, jumping to the probably best feats in the Sonic universe, you have the Time Eater and Solaris. Now, personally, I don't really care which of these two you think is ultimately more powerful, as ultimately their feats are just really similar. Solaris is just outright stated to be a super dimensional life form that was going to destroy all timelines and space-time in the Sonic multiverse, which there has been confirmed to be an infinite number. This would also include higher dimension spaces like Imaginary World, which we are literally told is a fourth dimensional space. Given that Solaris was not only going to destroy an infinite fourth dimensional multiverse, but also every single one of its timelines, this then puts the Cosmic God anywhere from 5 to 6D. The Time Eater has very similar feats and statements, being stated to have destroyed all of time and space, the space-time continuum, and even some Sonic writers saying that he just outright destroyed the fourth dimension. Now, both of these fights required Sonic to not only use Super Sonic, but also have help from another character also using the super form, notably his past self in Generations and Shadow and Silver in Sonic 06. If you don't know what Supersonic is, I'm honestly surprised you've made it this far in this video. Regardless, this might not actually matter. Like I mentioned previously, since Sonic 06 and Generations, several enemies, including the Titans and Infinite, have gotten statements of potentially being the strongest foes
I don't know too much about this one right here, though.
Sonic has faced up to that point. However, there are some contentions. Again, with some Sonic writers stating that no, Infinite is not a supersonic level threat and would lose to even characters like Dark Gaia, let alone the Time Eater or Solaris. Still, all this really changes is if Sonic gets that strong in his base form or not, which is really up to you because Supersonic's multiplier has clearly varied within the games and has no set increase. We've been talking a lot about power up to this point, despite speed being the main thing Sonic and Shadow are known for, and frankly, that's just because it's incredibly straightforward. Multiple times at this point,
I mean, Speed Blitz, the Speed Blitz is just nasty, bro. The Speed Blitz is just insane. Like, bro, you won't even notice you got hit. Like, straight cut through, like, split, belly you down.
Sonic has fought in spaces without a flow of time, kept up with characters who can travel through or literally exist at multiple points in time simultaneously, or are able to destroy timelines, all of which require attacks that, shockingly, must be fast enough to travel
If that don't say Speed Blitz, then I don't know what is.
through time. As for unique abilities, most of these actually fall on Shadow, perhaps to somewhat make up for falling behind Sonic in a power overall.
Bro, look
at his peak, Shadow is just...
Bro. Oh my God, bro. I used to draw this right here. Bro, this is the whole reason I got the tag. What my tag? Shadow. You see my Sonic? Right there, my Sonic. Y'all see it? Y'all see my tag, man, bro. That's the whole reason I drew Shadow and Sonic in a way and like trying to, you know what I'm saying? What? I drew it in a way, bro. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. I was nasty with the Sonic stuff.
outright stated to have reality
Nasty with the Sonic and Shadow stuff, bro.
warping that can alter the fabric of
And then I just love these details and stuff right here, bro. Oh my God. I drew, oh my God, bro. Oh my God. Let me shut up, but oh my God, bro. Oh my God.
universe, though mostly it's just used to temporarily stop time, teleport, and shoot blasts of energy. So overall, Sonic has the power, Shadow has the versatility, and together they have the speed. But is that enough for Goku and Vegeta? Let's get into it. Now, when it comes to scaling Goku and Vegeta, there are simply so many different potential arguments for how to scale them based on how you personally see the cosmology of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, see, I stick strictly to just everything like the main timeline canon. I don't stick to none of those Neo Goku and all that. I don't stick to none of those right there, bro. Get that stuff up my face.
Saying that the current point of the story, universe busting and anything similar has long passed as the strongest tier of power, as even the most basic attacks from God Goku were putting the entire structure of Universe 7 at immediate risk. Of course, Universe 7 is not just a standard universe, but multiple separate universe-sized or fractionally universe-sized spaces, making this a pretty obvious multiversal feat. Since then, the strength growth of Goku and Vegeta has been so ridiculous, it's kind of hard to keep track of how many times they've gotten stronger. God becomes their power and base, and then they get a form that's at least 50 times more powerful than the God form that made them multiverse busters in the first place. They also have multiple training sessions, both with each other and gods, that last for years on end, and we are only now getting to the Universe 6 tournament. Goku and Vegeta then get surpassed by base Goku Black, only to train more and surpass Goku Black in their own version of Super Saiyan Blue, surpassing their limits and holding their own against a Potara fusion of Goku Black and Zamasu.
See, when I started seeing those fighting, bro, it reminded me that when it would start giving me the Naruto vibes, like, bro, it was giving like, bro, they've been watching some Naruto fighting scenes, bro. Every time I see stuff like this, the fighting is like how cause Goku didn't never move like that, man. It was just giving me all Naruto fighting type style vibes.
Look
at all this
fusion of Goku Black and Zamasu before fusing themselves. In the Tournament of Power, they both achieve brand new godly forms that massively surpass Blue, while also getting some of the biggest mid-battle power-ups of their entire lives. Since then, they've continued to train, mastering even more techniques and taking on even bigger threats like Broly, Moro, and Gas, with Vegeta in particular finally getting a form that rivals Goku's Ultra Instinct. Aside from Ultra Eco, which allows Vegeta to get stronger from damage, and Ultra Instinct, which allows Goku to fight without thinking. There are only a handful of abilities that massively set Goku and Vegeta apart as combatants, aside from the Dragon Ball's casual skill set. Vegeta has Forced Spirit Fission, which can undo fusions and remove stolen energy, and also has the Hakai technique, an ability that can erase what it touches from existence. Meanwhile, Goku has access to the many techniques he's picked up from allies and teachers over the years, like the Solar Flare, Spirit Bomb, and Instant Transmission. Due to the scale of their power and the wide array of spaces they've been to throughout their history, it's not unreasonable to say that Goku and Vegeta have infinite speed or beyond, given that they've moved and destroyed timelines, or given the fact that the energy from their attacks has reached beyond an infinite universe, and both have only gotten faster from both of these feats. There's only one more way for them to get stronger, and that of course is fusion. As I
said, like the fusion, that probably the only thing. The fusion, but you know how they is, bro. They sayings, bro. They like the, fight it out. They like to fight it out. They don't want to do the fusion. I guess it take away too much their pride or something.
Point, they both know how to do the dance if they really want to, and can become Gogeta at any time. While the fusion dance multiplier is contentious, if it's like the Potara's A times B, or if it's more of a general multiplication in power. Regardless, this lets them essentially no-diff characters like Broly, who could walk through their combined Super Saiyan Blue attacks, and is just referred to as their ultimate trump card ability. While we haven't seen Gogeta in a while, at this point he'd be able to use everything Goku and Vegeta have learned since their fight with Broly, so a hypothetical Ultra Ego and Ultra Instinct Gogeta using them at the same time is not out of the realm of possibility. But would this form fall to Sonic and Shadow, or is this total overkill? So, looking at everything together, I think the big difference in scaling between Sonic and Dragon Ball is the severe difference in cosmology. The Sonic universe has the most explicit higher dimensional and infinite multiverse and timeline statements, while Dragon Ball's cosmology, at least in latter areas explicitly, does not have that in the main continuity. Even the most impressive feats we've seen, like Xeno erasing the whole timeline,
I just stick to the canon, bro.
In comparison to the Time Eater and Solaris, who again destroyed or were going to destroy an infinite amount of them. If you want to use something like Gogeta and Broly potentially going into a super dimension based on the non-canon Broly movie novel, that doesn't change things because they would still be your inferior, or on the non-canon and Broly movie novel, that doesn't change things because they would still be your inferior, or at best equal to what Solaris is explicitly stated to be. There really are no major ability on either side that I think massively sways things. I could maybe see Spirit Fission being able to turn off Supersonic and Shadow, but that requires Vegeta actually being able to damage the hedgehogs in their super states, which he cannot actually do due to the...
Thought Vegeta don't take this one. I thought Vegeta gonna be the one. I guess not.
Massive gap in power between them. So unfortunately, it seems like the fakers are going to take the win. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, bro. Hey, yo, Sonic and Shadow win. Okay, I'm not mad at it, but you already know. Link in my description.